Good afternoon, relatives, friends, sisters. My name is Gina Jackson. I am Western Shoshone and Ogallala Lakota. I am the co-founder and executive director of the Return to the Heart Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us today for our annual Summer Solstice gathering. Summer solstice is a special and sacred time of year. It's a moment to pause, reflect, and gather in shared commitment to healing, justice, and Indigenous resurgence, not only on a personal level, but for our families, for our children, our grandchildren, and really looking ahead 7 generations. I'm honored to join you from my home in northern Nevada. I live right outside the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe, which is 30 miles outside of Reno in a tiny little border town called Fernley, Nevada. We're streaming here live. I'm part of the Return to the Heart family. As far as traditional helpers and healers, grantees, and advisory members, we are so excited to have you here with us today. And I'm going to pass it along to April so she can share.
Thank you so much, Gina. And it is my honor to be here in many different capacities. Hiohomi Takiape, Ava Cordovi, Machiape, Malakota, and Taos Pueblo. My Tama is Joseph Conquilla Cordova. My Ina or my cause, Patricia Crow Cordova. I'm sixth generation from Chief Red Cloud. I'm the owner operator of AC and Associates. I'm a mother, daughter, community member, caretaker. I'm a former grantee for the Traditional Helpers and Healers, and I'm just so honored to be here. I'm so honored to have so many of you in the room, and I'm thankful that you all are here. Summer solstice has been an amazing time, and I have had the amazing honor to be a part of several different summer solstices. One from my homelands in South Dakota, which was the first one that I got to meet some very amazing individuals like my sister Leah, who you'll be hearing from shortly. We also, in the next year, went to New Mexico, where I got to meet other sisters and see them sparkle. One of the things that I want to say is that have you ever thought and seen somebody and how they shine and how they're being in community? Um, that's what that is what Return to Heart means to me. I see so many of our sisters doing so many great things, and we get a chance to, um, once you're in the sisterhood or just being here today, you get a chance to see them shine in the way that they're doing so many amazing things. We have a great lineup today, and we have a packed agenda. First, we're going to be opening in a good way, as always, with an opening song and prayer from our past grantee, Sister Tiana Spotted Thunder, followed by my heart sister, Leah Witzel. Then we're going to be welcoming two different Haleys and having the amazing opportunity to hear from Melissa Spence, from Monique Castro and Elena Nori, and then closing with a breathing exercise led by Haley. So we're going to go ahead and start off, as always, in a good way with our sister Leah. And I'm not Leah, I'm sorry, with Tiana. She couldn't be here today, but we are going to share the video that she sent in.
I wanted to open up with a prayer song, and this is a prayer song of gratitude. So just want to say thank you to Return to the Heart for all that you do and all the efforts that you give for Native women everywhere. Trunka Shilaya, Trunka Shilaya, we chose Ani Wamayak Uwe, Dakuwa Kamichi Chunze Hayo, Chanupakile. You ha ye waye mi taku ye yob wani wachi ye wichoni wa mayakue wo pila ichi chi e hai Tonga Shilaya, we chose ani wamayakue, dakuwa kamichi chunze hai. Chanu pakile you ha ho ye wa ye me daku ye ob wani wa chi ye hai we choni wa mayak ue wo pila ichi chi hai oh kame out big stuff.
So much appreciation for Tiana. Thank you. First up, we have a very near and dear friend and sister. And I want to tell you this quick story. It's Leah Wetzel. And actually, she probably could tell this story better, but she had applied for our traditional helpers and healers. And she was not discouraged, but she reapplied, and she did get, as we started to know each other and I was learning more about her and her work, I told her she should apply for this fellowship. It looks like an awesome opportunity. And I shared the information with her, and she came back a day or two later, and she said, "Would you apply with me? There's a opportunity to do the fellowship as co-fellows." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess, yeah, sure, of course I'll do it with you." And really just trying to, open doors to support, especially for, folks who haven't done, these types of things. And even all of us are walking through new doors, but to be able to support one another has just been an amazing journey, and she's doing some awesome things. I'm going to turn it over to Leah and let her tell a little more about herself and the really awesome work that she's doing right now. And then also an opportunity to really guide some of the work that's coming up through a survey that is really looking at input from survivors.
Well, thank you, Gina. Oki nastu ni danaku, ayo punakaki, ayo abskani pikani. Hello, relatives. I'm really excited to spend a little time with you and share a little bit about myself, our project. I'm really glad that Gina started out by talking about my first attempt at the traditional sorry, I can't remember her grant, one of her grants, traditional helpers and healers. There it is. Because I was doing some pilot projects in Montana with surrounding peer support, and I had seen it online, and so I applied. Never applied for a grant before. I think I took a certification course for grant writing, and I kind of taught myself, and I just kept going after different things, and then I ended up meeting Gina, Avril, and some other amazing sisters. So just know, like, this isn't just a one-time space. This is kind of a lifelong sisterhood that we have here. But a little bit about me. So I'm a member of the Upscunny Bikini Band of the Blackfoot Nation. My lineage is of Mountain Chief and Heavy Running Clan. I like to consider myself to be an advocate and a change maker through mostly sharing my own personal lived experiences in hopes to empower others that come from a similar space. I identify as being a woman in recovery of co-occurring in both substance misuse and behavioral health. I consider myself being in the movement of intergenerational healing. It's an everyday effort. It's not glamorous. It can be messy at times, but it was something that I needed to do to be able to grow and learn and be open for change. One of the hardest things that I've ever gone through is facing my hurts, the things that held me back for so long. A big part of my personal healing growth has been reconnecting to my traditional ways, learning my language, and finding a path of having a deeper connection with Creator and our ancestors. Currently, I am the Recovery Program Specialist for the state of Montana, DPHHS Prevention Division, where I'm overseeing the allocated funding for recovery services under the Scepters Block Grant for Montana. That currently is about 17 contracts that I oversee. I also serve as the Blackfeet Tribe's alternate representative on the Montana DOJ Missing Murder Indigenous People Advisory Council, the State Human Trafficking Task Force, and on multiple committees within the Montana Department of Corrections. I'm currently working as a subject matter expert and consultant with Policy Research Associates, supporting the Gain Center's Learning Collaborative, this year with the focus of specialty courts. My journey involves spending a large amount of time in my adult life in active addiction, being in the criminal justice system, learning later in life that the root of it all was really trauma. Being a child of both parents, being in boarding schools, and my brother and I, first generation that didn't go to the boarding schools. As Indigenous people, as First Nations people, we have learned that the boarding school epidemic, along with historical trauma, is the center of where a lot of our trauma began. Imagine, your great, 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 great grandmother, down to your grandmother, to your mom, to you, and then down into your child. That trauma that your great grandmother from 4 generations ago, down to your grandma, down to your mom, down to you, that's still affecting us, and it affects our children. And that's a cumulative trauma. We know that we are highly affected by these traumas. Maybe you've had a grandparent or a parent that didn't show emotion, may have been closed off, not really showing a lot of love on one another. And that could be because in their mind, they're keeping you strong, safe, and not trying to show any weakness because of the things that they've gone through. I know for a long time, I felt very disconnected from my grandmother because she didn't really show much affection. But we have come a long ways from where our grandparents were with acknowledging trauma and the things that hurt us. We are learning to talk about those hard topics. When we heal, we are healing 7 generations, and that is hugely impacting our kids, grandkids, and so on. It is allowing our ancestors' hardships to not go unrecognized because we are choosing to heal. I began my recovery journey in May of 2018. It was about 2 years later when I was hosting a recovery event, when I was educated on what human trafficking really was. We had a local task force member presenting on human trafficking and the intersections of missing murder Indigenous relatives. At that point, I realized what had happened to me in my younger years was indefinitely being trafficked. As I worked through more of this trauma and started processing more, I came to realize, the first time I was 17 years old. And then again, it happened when I was 19. When I think back on that, I was really lucky to be able to get away out of those situations I was in. It took almost losing my life later in 2017 to realize that I was here for a reason and I had a bigger purpose. I made an agreement with Creator that if I got out of that motel room that I was being held in, I would do all I can to work on myself to heal, and do creator's work and live out creator's will for me to help others. I spoke up about what happened to me in 2017, and when I came forward, 3 more families came forward about what this person did to them and his own kids. I'm grateful to get justice, and when I spoke at his hearing, I got to speak my truth. It was the most empowering moment of my life. At that time, one of the victims had passed away, so the pressure was on me to speak up even more and not only get justice for me, but for the kids and for the other people that were affected by this person. Probably more people than ever showed up in those courtrooms. By speaking out, where we are putting people away that are causing MMIR cases. It isn't easy, especially when we are going through coming to terms with the realities that have happened to us in our families. But when we do, something powerful happens. We find our voices. We realize we have a bigger purpose. I started my advocacy journey with that same task force that I got educated from. At that time, I was also doing peer support pilot projects in my community. A little bit about, what I had shared earlier. I spent the next few years pioneering innovative pilot projects and advocacy initiatives across multi-sector collaborations. I was able to help be a voice for those who went through similar circumstances when I worked with the Montana AG's office to change Montana law against human trafficking. I can say that my work since has evolved, and I truly believe it's a powerful force for systemic change in amplifying the voices of survivors and families through anti-human trafficking and missing murder Indigenous relatives initiatives. I was recognized for my work and awarded for a few of my efforts. One through the Montana Board of Crime Control Innovative Community Improvement Award in 2022. That one was kind of awkward because it's a conference for law enforcement, and I was in the system at one point, but that's really when I started noticing, a change in my perspective of law enforcement, as well as I was able to work with some of them to help find justice. And then the most latest award was the 2024 Soros Justice Fellowship from the Open Society Foundation, where, like Gina shared earlier, we partnered. I partnered with Gina Jackson from the Return to the Heart Foundation. When she originally sent that to me, I read it, and something inside of me was like, ask her if she would help me, ask her if she would guide me. And I said, I think it would be really awesome if we could do this together, collaborate. And so, yeah, we ended up getting that last year. And so that project is a vision, a large piece of that project is a vision I've had for some time. And with the support of Gina, I am making that dream come true, as well as Gina. Gina's big part is, it all came true at the end of last year, and it's continuing to come true through us being together here like this today. Our project is the Empowering Strong Hearts Project, where I am developing a survivor of human trafficking and exploitation peer-to-peer support best practice model, as well as developing a trauma-informed missing murder Indigenous relatives advocacy training. Through offering a virtual healing space in August, we will be making connections with others that come from these similar circumstances to help steer these efforts. Another part of the project is developing an awareness campaign where we will develop a video to highlight Indigenous women survivors of human trafficking, domestic violence, and family members of missing or Indigenous relatives. We are driving this curriculum development and training through data-driven outcomes, but not just any data, self-identified data. Data that is being gathered by us, for us. We know that we cannot do anything alone. It must be a collaborative and intertribal effort. We started putting out a survey to share and gather this data in March, and our goal is to get at least 1,000 people to fill out that survey, which can be anonymously, and that will be going up until the end of 2025. We hope to get all you to fill out that survey, allow the truth to be told through this survey, and hopefully together we can gather information needed to make change far beyond this project. We hope to find ways to sustain this work and these efforts. Part of this project is mentoring and bringing in those with lived experience of Indigenous women survivors and family members. That way we are gaining progress together with those who are most important being the driving force. The hope is that who we get to support will take that knowledge back to their communities and keep the healing going. This can't happen without the support of others that have lived experience and can champion these efforts. The trauma-informed MMIR advocacy training is to offer tools to support families through an individualized approach that is person-centered and offered in a sacred, safe space that is trauma-informed. Our people practice trauma-informed ways far beyond the word trauma-informed was recognized. With these principles and practices, we are doing our due diligence by making sure we are supporting people in a good way, an empowering way, and that it all centers around those who are going through the hardships to help them find their way, their purpose, and their voice. Without these practices, we can sometimes do more harm without even knowing. A big part of what we have learned as advocates, there tends to be some lateral violence happening amongst one another. What we know is that there's enough hurt to heal, and there's room at the table for everyone. And that's really our perspective with this project as well. We hope through this work to not only offer free training, practices to follow and implement, and resources, but to also empower Indigenous women-led efforts and enhance the great work that's already happening. This is something that can allow those who have lived experience to continue or even find their purpose. Having lived experience and being on a healing journey is a superpower, one that cannot be learned in a book, found in a trade. It's something that we live through, but we live through it for a reason. The hope is that we can share knowledge that is gained through these hardships, so the next person doesn't have to suffer as we did. I'm honored to be here today to share some of my story and hopefully allow someone out there that's listening or watching this to know that one, they are not alone, and two, that they have a bigger purpose, and those hardships were not for nothing. They happen to educate and be an ambassador for change. Thank you for your time, and if any of you are interested of any of the topics that I talked about today, please reach out. If it's about your project, I'm always here to support other people's work. I think that's the only way to go. But I welcome all of those who are part of this movement to be a part of this project with us. All that decide to support this work, whether it's being a part of the awareness piece, the curriculum development, or even participating in the group, all will be acknowledged in our final draft because this is not just our project, this project is yours too. Thank you, Anya.
Thank you so much, Leah. Now, does everyone understand why I love this woman so much? She's so amazing. We're going to drop into the chat the link to the survey, and then also in our follow-up from the webinar, we can send out links to the survey as well. The co-part, my part is creating funding and trying to support all the work that's going out there. And I'll just tell you a quick story. So we had about 50 applicants. Of that, we had a little more than 400,000 to push out. We were able to use about 17 grantees. And then a funder partner of ours was came in. They do micro granting, and our traditional helpers and healers grant is micro granting, but this missing and murdered Indigenous woman was bigger money. So they came in and they said, give me your next 10 and we'll fund them. Then they came back and said, give us your next 10 and we'll fund them. And then they came back and said, who else is left? We want to support these groups that you were not able to fund this first round. Then just this week, and I don't know if it's going to happen. It's in discussion. It's a possibility that another funding partner that I am barely just getting to know may be able to pick up bigger funding for some of those who did not make the first round. So super happy. My story at the end of the day could be that just about everyone got funded in some way. So that's, the importance of this work. Next up, I want to introduce Haley Omisio. Haley is the president and executive director of Okomi Forensics. And when I first heard about Haley, I was like, oh my gosh, who is this person? She is a forensic scientist. And then just being able to connect with her and follow her online. I am so proud. I actually get the goosebumps because the work that she does is so important. It goes back to the belief it's by us, for us, and not depending on, everyone around us, because everyone around us has always let us down. Our numbers for human trafficking are not acceptable. In the US, we're 40% of the human trafficking victims are Native women. That is not acceptable. And you know what? Those numbers aren't even the good numbers. When we get the good numbers, it'll be worse, not better. And so Haley has a forensics organization, and I'm so excited to have you come on and share a little bit about yourself and the work that you're doing.
Okay, yes, thank you so much for having me today. I'll do a quick introduction. So, okinistuni danaku isamaki, ni diaping singaksim helio miso, ni mochto to amska pipigani gi hopitua, ni mochto to bunagasi gi idanyop, ni titatskini matsoko ochkumi forensics. Hello, everyone. Like she said, my name is Haley Omiso. I am currently wrapping up my PhD. So I did walk in the spring commencement at the University of Montana this past May. So I got my PhD in forensic and molecular anthropology. I have been at U of M for the past 10 years. So I graduated from Browning High School. I grew up on the Blackfeet Reservation. So straight out of high school, I went to U of M. I got my undergraduate degrees in forensic anthropology and human biology. So I double majored, and then I also got a certificate in forensic science. Simultaneously, I also had my first son, Sage. So he has been with me, for the past 10 years, and people ask me all the time, how did you do it? And I don't know how I did that, but I did it. I then went for a master's degree at U of M in forensic anthropology. So my original plan was to be a medical examiner. So I was pre-med in undergrad, simply because I saw that with a lot of MMIP cases, that's a lot of things that families are asking for is for, a review of the autopsy to try and help us figure out what may have happened to their family members. I have since taken a shift in things. So I went for a PhD instead. So still a doctor, but not a medical doctor. I went more of the research route. So in my master's, I looked at fracture patterns to the face, head, and neck that were associated with intimate partner violence or domestic violence. So my mom is actually a domestic violence survivor. Um, she's my everything, and so I really just try and take the traumas that we have, endured in our own family and try and turn it into something good. Also, other cases that I've seen within the MMIP space that are related to domestic violence. I wanted to learn, how we could apply science and, really look deeper into those fracture patterns. And, if we do find our missing relatives, are we able to see those patterns and, kind of help them and their families get closure as to what may have happened to them. So moving on to my PhD, I kind of took another shift there, still doing MMIP work, but I found out when I was entering my PhD that there were human remains that were culturally unaffiliated and unidentified that were being kept at the University of Montana. And this is happening all across the nation, all across the world, really. And so I found out that there was one individual that was thought to be from the Blackfeet tribe. And so I've since used all my years in my PhD to find solutions as to how to identify this individual and get them back home. So I am getting one step closer each and every day. When I got to meet Gina recently, I was in the lab in my Tyvek suit doing DNA analysis. I've just been all over the place. So I do the lab work, I do the field work, I do advocacy, talking with families, consulting with tribal members, and also just trying to heal from my own traumas too, and being with my family. And, family is everything to me. And, I really don't think I would have got through all of these years without a good support system. And so, that's one thing that I really advocate for is having a good support system. And so I'm really happy to be here with all of you because I feel, just all of the love here in this circle. And so I guess after my PhD is said and done, I am now the founder and executive director of Okami Forensics, which is a nonprofit organization based in Montana. So we provide forensic services to the Indigenous communities and families impacted by the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Crisis, or MMIP. So recently I have been working alongside families, alongside law enforcement, other advocates. I also serve on the Montana MMIP Task Force, which will be known as the Advisory Council soon. So I serve as Advisory Council from a forensic standpoint on there. And so, there's just so much work to be done. We currently have about 12 cases that we're handling currently. So I go out into the field. I have a whole group of volunteers that are also trained in forensics, most of them coming from U of M. So we go out, we do field surveys looking for missing people. We can distinguish human remains from animals. And then we can do the lab work too. So forensic anthropology is basically doing skeletal analysis to help identify a person. So coming up with a biological profile. So we're able to look at the skeletal remains, telling if they are male versus female biologically, approximately what age they were at time of death, how tall they were, looking for signs of trauma, pathology, things like that. And then, like I said, I also do DNA analysis. So trying to identify them and then also testing evidentiary items. And with all of that comes advocacy. So I always say that I am an accidental advocate. I've always been kind of a shy, quiet person, never really spoke up. But, when you're doing this kind of work, that's really, what you have to do is be a voice for those that no longer have a voice. And so that is why I named my company Okami Forensics, because Okami means to use one's voice in Nisipuasin, or the Blackfeet language. So thank you again, everyone, for having me today. Please let me know if you have any questions and feel free to reach out. And thank you, Gina and Leah and everyone, for welcoming me today and including me in this conversation. And I'm so excited to see where this conversation goes. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Haley. You are inspiring. We are so proud of you, and we look forward to, all the amazing work that you're going to be doing in the future. If you wouldn't mind dropping your website into the chat, and if you have social media handles, we want to follow you. We want to watch every amazing thing that you're doing. And I'm hoping that, younger generations, college students, high school students will think, you know what, that's what we need in our community. Because again, it has to be for us, by us. We're the ones who care. We are the ones who are passionate. We are the ones who see with a lens that they don't have. So thank you so much for coming today. Appreciate you. Okay, so next up, we have another guest, Melissa Spence, and she is a director. She does cultural humility training, and she's an audio producer. And one of the things that I'm really excited about, and she'll tell you more about, is she has a program called MMIW Warriors, where she's having an in-person gathering later this fall. And as she tells you more about it, I was so excited about it. And Leah kept telling me, and I'm like, oh, I'm traveling so much. I'm traveling every week. I can't do it. I can't do it. And then when I looked into it again, I'm like, you know what? This is what we need. This is what I need. This is what my family needs. This is what community needs. This is what our kids need, our nieces, our grandkids. We need this information. Her work is so important about empowering, our people, and not just young people, all of our people, because, these issues affect all of us. So Melissa, I'm going to pass it over to you to give yourself introduction to us, and then tell us about your work.
Thank you so much, Gina. Hopefully you can hear me nice and clear. Shout out to Leah, who I've become friends with over the past couple of years, because yes, we have been doing our MMIW Warriors project both in person and virtually over the past few years. So my name is Melissa Spence. I am coming to you from Southern Nevada. I'm not too far from Gina, but I'm in the Southern New Movie lands, otherwise known as Las Vegas. So a bit about me. I was actually born and raised in Canada. I was born in Treaty 1 in a city called Winnipeg. And growing up there, I had experienced a tremendous amount of racially charged trauma. I was exposed to a lot of secondhand trauma, especially with the MMIW crisis there. In fact, people would call it ground zero for MMIW because of just how common and how often our community members were murdered and disappearing without any justice whatsoever, and life just carrying on business as usual was really how it goes there. So I was a young person, maybe in my mid-20s, when I decided to kick a nasty drug habit, get my life together. And I've always been a passionate music lover. And I thought, well, I'm a pretty mediocre musician. Um, Despite being totally, talented. I'm a Anishinaabe. I'm Ojibwe. Both of my parents are. All of my grandparents are Ojibwe. I just knew that I had a pretty mediocre style when it came to music. So I thought, how can I be involved in music, but still kind of make it my career? So I became a radio DJ. I enrolled in broadcasting school, and I kind of aced it. And I thought, oh my goodness, I think I have a knack for communicating and sharing my voice. Like, my literal voice is my gift, I realized. So I became a radio DJ, and I quickly became connected to community through broadcasting, is how I finally began to reconnect with my own culture and the communities in Manitoba, which is where my traditional territory is of the Anishinaabe Nation, right? We're Western Northern Plains. And I began to MC MMIW events. In 2008 was the very first one that I was invited to. It was kind of like one of my first assignments of this new radio DJ job that I had. There was an event called No Stone Unturned, and really what it was an outdoor gathering just for anybody who had been impacted by the MMIW, MMIP crisis to just come be around each other for a day, have a barbecue, listen to some, music. We would invite musicians, all kinds of performers, anybody just willing to kind of lift up the spirits of people who were experiencing this and living through it or surviving it. So I would be one of the MCs, and it was just an all-day event. And that's when I started to connect with families. And this went on for many years, and I became a regular MC, and it really opened myself up to not just the community, but a passion for getting the word out and using my voice as a way to spread awareness to a community, like an entire city that just had no idea that this was going on right under their noses, right? So here I am as this radio DJ, and I'm doing well, and I suddenly decided to move to the US in 2015. I felt like I had reached my pinnacle of that, and I wanted to go even further. So I moved to Phoenix, Arizona in 2015, picked up everything, and then I quickly connected with someone named Suta Collingwest, and she was developing this nonprofit called Indigenous Vision in the very early stages of it. And I thought, wow, what a cool gal. This lady has this immense vision and goal to see her people revitalized and the communities coming back to life, and all this, I guess, positive change for the community. And I jumped on as just a radio DJ at first, because my nature and background is radio music to celebrate and bring Indigenous joy into the space, because sorry about that. My mic just disconnected. But bringing joy into the space, because a lot of the work that we're doing is so heavy, right? We're under, even as in our personal lives, we are deeply affected by what is happening. So bringing the music aspect to the nonprofit Indigenous Vision was my job at first. And as time went on, she's the executive director. She began to develop this MMIW Warriors program within the organization. And it started off as just free self-defense for Indigenous women and girls of all ages. And we would go to a park somewhere in Phoenix, Arizona. Anybody could sign up who was Indigenous. It was totally free. And we would do self-defense techniques in the park. And it kind of just bloomed into this whole other project of not just bringing awareness to MMIW, but to celebrating ourselves as empowered women in the community. And we had self-defense for the first few years. Then the pandemic happened, and we wanted to make sort of like a bigger platform for the self-defense program. So we tried doing a retreat. So we did a first retreat in the Sholo area of Arizona, which is just, I guess, northeast of Phoenix. And we invited Indigenous foster girls, and we had aunties there, we had elders, we had ourselves, and we had Crystal Lightning and Red Cloud, who are currently doing their big Bear Grease debut on Broadway right now. They're doing fantastic, by the way. Shout out to Bear Grease Live. But they were at our camp, and it was a retreat designed to uplift the young Indigenous women who are in foster care. And we had a 3-day, on the water retreat, and we did all of those things: self-defense, a lot of workshops to uplift, a lot of crafting, and just being in community with each other. It was just a way to show that these young foster girls, that they are loved, they are a part of the community. These are the things that you can do to uplift yourself and be mindful and preserve yourself, and show them ways to love and wellness with themselves. So that was our first retreat. We had another one after that, and then the pandemic happened, and we kind of went heavy on our cultural humility trainings, which are a way to bring positive and workplace wellness to your working environment. I mean, if you think about how much time you're spending at work, you want it to be a positive place. So we did cultural humility, and that's where Leah popped into my life. Was she was an attendee at one of our trainings, and then after that, we did a retreat in Pasco, Washington last April. We got a little bit of funding from an organization in Washington, and we did one of our biggest retreats ever in Pasco, Washington. We teamed up with Cola Shipping Tower of the Wasaka Project. We had Acacia Red Elk come down and do some powwow yoga. We've had massage, uh, professional masseuses in there that people could just go and sign up and get a 10-minute massage throughout the retreat. So there's all these things that we have going on in our retreats to promote well-being. We also honored, of course, our missing relatives and everybody who's been impacted. We had sharing circles. So we did that huge retreat, and I came back to Vegas, and we started our own little self-defense program here that is still going. And I think there's 3 days a week, 3 days a week now that you can actually go out and be a part of this self-defense program that is Indigenous led. Anyone's allowed to attend. It's totally free. You got 3 options of indoors and outdoors, and you get to learn self-defense techniques professionally. And it takes about 6 weeks to really get those moves down. So there's plenty of options for that. And I'm really proud to be a part of that with Free Self-Defense LV, kind of one of our partners here in Las Vegas. And then Return to the Heart Foundation popped up in late last year, and I'm so grateful I applied for this grant because now we've been able to, I guess, get our new retreat in order. We have September coming up. We've got this huge retreat along the Flathead Lake around Blackfoot territory. It's going to be amazing. It's the weekend of the 21st. It's totally free again, free self-defense. We're going to have Acacia Red Elk returning for the powwow yoga. We're going to have a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I just want to thank Return to the Heart Foundation for helping us with this because it is a lifelong passion for me. I will be continuing to do this work probably until I'm physically capable. So thank you again for all of that. And I'm going to share some of our details and website in the chat now if you'd like to check that out. But thank you again, and keep an eye on our social media feed, Indigenous Vision Media. That's where you can check us out because that's where we'll share all the details for any upcoming events. And hopefully all the other nations across the country and Great Turtle Island can replicate our retreat so that everybody can experience it.
Awesome, Melissa. Thank you so much for all that you do and all that you are and all that you bring to community, from awareness to safety to just yourself and your love for communities. We appreciate you being here and would love to be connected. Me, myself, would love to be connected to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Let me jump in here too. Also, I just wanted to share that your heart for kids in foster care, that is so amazing and it's so important. I wanted to share a quick little story. A childhood friend of mine who lives in Southern California now, she is my age. She works for the Salvation Army as in the human trafficking program, where there's 2 houses, 2 shelters. One of them is international and one of them is US based. In the US based, the women who have come through the shelter have all been experienced child welfare or foster care, all 100%. And I didn't know that can be so related. The lack of support for kids that are growing up in the system puts them at risk and targets on their backs to be exploited in the future. So thank you for that. I love that component. And also, if anybody is gonna be interested in not just learning more, but possibly signing up and going to the Montana retreat, I'm gonna be there. And I would love to meet you. If you are on summer solstice, come find me. Let's talk. I would love to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you. I want to go to Montana. So thank you. As we start to wind down, we are going to go ahead and bring on our next speakers. And we welcome powerful voices from Tongva territory, two amazing individuals that I have had the opportunity to call mentors, sisters, just amazing people. These are two amazing women that have come into my life, that have listened to me, that have lifted me up, that have brought me so much joy. I want to introduce two powerful women, Elena Nori and Monique Castro, both from Indigenous Circle of Wellness and the Sho'onali Sister Project. I can't believe I got that wrong, but I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you guys for being here. If you want to unmute yourselves and introduce yourselves.
Yeah, thank you for introducing us, Avril. It's so nice to be here with everyone. Melissa, I want to join everything. We've been talking about doing self-defense classes here in LA for our Native women and young people for so long, and to learn that you all have, integrated and adopted a model with an Indigenous facilitator is so exciting. So I also want to connect. My name is Elena. I am Hopi. My family is from Kukuxmovi, from the Tobacco Clan on Third Mesa, the Hopi Nation in northeastern Arizona. I am also Cherokee from Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and Chicana. Born and raised on Tongva territory here in LA. My mom is the first generation born off of our reservation, so I identify very much as an urban native, and I've worked with Avril for many years, with Monique for many years, almost 20 years. It's insane. But we co-founded So'oshanala Sister Project to uplift the matriarchs of our families and everything that they held on their plates with love and with strength. So So'o means grandmother in Hopi to represent my grandmother, and Shanale means paternal grandmother in Navajo to represent Monique and Melissa's grandmother. And we're grateful to be here with you all, but I want to pass it over to Monique for her introduction too.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. My name is Monique Castro. I am Dene and Chicana. Also currently reside in Tongva lands here. I'm in the Southeast LA area, if anyone's familiar with Los Angeles. My family is from, I would say the closest area would be the Window Rock area of Arizona, so that border area of New Mexico and Arizona on the Navajo Nation. My grandmother was actually my father too, like Elena's, was the first off-reservation born in Los Angeles. So we came during the relocation era. There's a lot of parallels of mine and Elena's story, which you very much see uplifted in the nonprofit of So'oshanala Sister Project. I know it's quite a tongue twister, April. So even as a co-founder, I get it twisted sometimes too. But we wanted that to be the case because we want our languages to be spoken. And we were like, it's going to be hard for people, but we want them to learn it, right? And it makes us also continue to say it. So yes, I was born and raised in Los Angeles by my Shanale, by my grandmother, my paternal grandmother. And yeah, I have my entire work has been around supporting um, Native people in their healing and wellness journey. So I am the CEO and founder of Indigenous Circle of Wellness and a co-founder along with Elena with So'oshanala Sister Project. So I'll be sharing a little bit more about how are we taking care of ourselves? What are we noticing in this time that everything's been going on in the world, in our own communities? A lot of things that are actually not new to us, but how are we feeling that in our bodies? How are we taking care of our minds? So that is the work that I do. That is the work that I'd love to support folks with as we are all on our various healing journeys. So I can get started on that if you think that's a good segue, Elena. Okay, cool. So I wanted to recognize that there's a lot happening in Los Angeles, definitely. There's no secret that like ice raids are happening in Los Angeles, and there's so much happening. We've been going through a lot, I would say, as a community, even at the top of the year with the fires, right? And so it there's a lot of feelings that are coming up. So in and outside of the therapy space, whether I'm sitting across from clients, sitting across from my team, and hearing about the clients' experiences that they're having, and it just being in space with community, is there's this common thread that we're all experiencing. Some in which we are saying, and some that we might just be experiencing maybe in silence. So I want to acknowledge what that might be, to give some, like, it's expected to feel this way. If you're experiencing this, there is nothing wrong with you. Actually, there's everything wrong with the world right now, and our body and our mind is going to signal something to us, letting us know, hey, something is not right. So I want to mention a few things. One is that there's going to be physiological changes and things that we're going to notice that we may or may not have an answer to, right? Like, why is this happening to me right now? Why is my sleep all of a sudden not how it was before? Why am I not, usually by this time of the day, I'm hungry, but I'm not hungry, or vice versa, normally. So anything that might have felt like normal, quote unquote, for you might have shifted, right? And we're going to notice this anytime that our body and our mind is going through a dysregulation. And this is our brain's way of saying, hey, there's danger happening, and I'm getting prepared for that danger. So although it might feel uncomfortable, I want us to acknowledge, okay, there's these challenges that might be happening, but it's also signaling something very important to us around danger and our need for survival. So I want us to thank our bodies and our minds for doing its job of signaling something is not right. Okay. And this is how it's protecting itself. Okay. Even if you are someone who's done a lot of trauma work and you're like, whoa, some stuff is coming back up. Where is this coming from? We're going to get re-triggered when there is a threat to our lives in some ways, right? Or we're seeing the threat happening to other people, because guess what? We also see those as our relatives, our sisters, our brothers, and we're going to experience that too in our mind, in our body. So some things that have been common, including for myself, sleep changes, eating changes, physical pain in my body that I cannot explain. I don't typically have pain in my joints and my arms and my like upper back area. And I've been having that, right? Last week I was really experiencing that. Some dissonance. So this is kind of like a separation from what's happening. Sometimes it's our way of just disconnecting from something for a little bit, or just like, oh, that's not happening to me, but like, I know it's happening. I'm just gonna like go over here. That is also a response to our stress, and it's our way of taking care of ourselves. So what comes from that often is then guilt and shame around that. And then that can create even other challenges. So if you're noticing that, just know, like, I have to do that because there's some type of boundary that I need to have, right? Difficulty concentrating, foggy thinking, and unable to complete tasks. So maybe simple tasks, I do this on the regular. This is typically very easy for me, right? And then it's like, I can't do it. I don't know why. Usually this takes me 15 minutes, and now it's taking me like 3 hours. So what happens, then we have judgments about ourselves, judgments around our capacity to do things. Why can't am I getting it done, etc. So then we kind of go through a spiral. So what will end up happening is then we resort to self-soothing behaviors. Some of them are going to be positive, maybe we have different coping skills. We will go through different behaviors that we will reach for that are, they're helping us. Some of those might be like drinking more water. You're noticing you're very thirsty, drinking more water. It might be, I need to take a break. I need to take a nap. Those are, our body signals, we're meeting those needs. But sometimes there's things like, I haven't, maybe I'll give an example for myself. I've been drinking way too much coffee. I love coffee, but not at the amount of coffee I've been drinking. I know that's a trauma response. I know that's a way of my body trying to regulate itself, but it's not actually very helpful to have too much caffeine, right? So I'm working on that, taking in more water intake. But these are some things that you will notice for yourself. You're like, oh, yeah, I've noticed that. And this is not just recent to what's happening in the world right now, but this is at any given time that there's a threat to you or someone else, and a trauma response or a stress response will arise. Okay. It doesn't always stay there, and we actually don't want it to stay there too long. So what we do then is we need the wellness pieces, the mental health support, the wellness pieces, and I'll go a little bit more into that after Elena also gets to share. So I'll pause there and hand it over to my sister.
Yes, thank you for sharing, Monique. Also, the caffeine, I'm guilty of that because I feel like I need to fuel myself for everything that I need to handle. And I feel this urgency to give more, to do more, to respond more. But I think it's also a part of my responsibility to know when to step back, when to rest, when to be present, when to move, and when I need to just unplug and disassociate, kind of how Monique shared. So here in LA, we've had ice all over our neighborhoods. They're at our schools, our markets, our libraries, tire shops, everywhere. So for me, that's caused anxiety, anger, a sense of dread, right? And I see it happening in more and more areas beyond LA. And there is this hypervigilance that I feel I need to activate. I need to give. But for me, it's important to have folks that I can rely on, that I can be genuine with. Like Monique. Monique has been there for me in the hardest of times, right? Folks that I can be truly vulnerable with, that know when I am living too much in my head and when I need to move to my heart, when I need to be in my body. So that's something I want to uplift, that, our peoples we have our clan mothers, we have elders, our matriarchs, our cousins, our aunties, just our clan structures and systems that have always supported our peoples to move through these very challenging times. And we have our overall community. And I feel very grateful to be in community, to get to learn more about the work that you all lead and how we support one another. Because like Gina said, we're going to take the best care of ourselves, and Native people, Indigenous people have the solutions. We have the strength. So I want to uplift that. And then also recognizing the data that our body gives us. Genuinely. And that's something Monique had shared with me, in that if my head is hurting, that's data like I need to sleep, or I need to close my eyes. I need to stop looking at artificial light, right? So just paying attention to what those signals are for each of us, whether our hands feel clammy or sweaty, or our voice is getting a little scratchy, or our mouth is dry, right? What are those physiological responses that our body is telling us it's time to unplug, to slow down? So I want to uplift that. And then Monique and I will tag team a little bit more here. I know that we're wrapping up very soon, but yeah, I'll pass it over to Monique.
Yeah, thank you for that. So what we want to really address with it, with everything, is that one, we're not necessarily not gonna have, we're not gonna be without the feelings that come, and how our body's reacting to, they're going to come. It's how we then re-regulate our body and our mind. So nervous system regulation is very essential. How do we do this? Well, we have a lot of tools. We are very blessed within our communities to have so many resources and tools of regrounding, reconnection, right? And this is connection to the land, connection to one another. But and sometimes it's a slowing down, it's the closing our eyes, it's the deep breaths, right? So I'm going to actually invite everyone just to do some 3 collective breaths together. And what I'm going to ask is that we're going to hold the breath up at top for just a few seconds, and then we're going to do a big exhale, like okay. So I want us to do a deep inhale through our nose and exhale. Another deep inhale and exhale. One more deep inhale and big exhale. Okay. If you were able to do that with me, you're going to recognize already like a different feeling in your body, right? It's just a little more lightness, right? So what that's doing is helping with regulation, the oxygen that goes to our brain. It helps reduce, I know for me, it was the tension in my shoulders. I speak all the time and I get nervous. So I get tense and I let that go, right? So it really supports. And that's something that literally took us like 5 seconds at probably under 10 seconds to do, that we have access to do any and all the time that we need it. Okay. So I invite you to do that. Because what we're doing is we need to regulate our bodies and our minds, and that nervous system regulation. Remember, everything's connected. Everything is connected. And in order to do that, that is letting our bodies and our minds know, like, it might not be completely safe out there, but I am safe right now. It might be very challenging. Yes, it's like recognize the truth and also like, what can I work on in this moment? Right? Because I can't do all the things that are happening out in the world right now, but I can do what I'm doing and know that it's making a difference. Right? So it's like recentering. And why this is so essential is because, one, we do want to maintain a really well mental health and wellness, so that if we have ever had anxiety, depression, or PTSD symptoms, then that they're not re-triggered. And the other is that we don't want to then start to experience those symptoms where it becomes like really impacting our lives, right? So it's going to be really important to, like, if that's something that, especially if you've ever been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder or anything like that, it's a reminder, like, I have to take care of myself first. I cannot be of support to anyone else, because this is the time, in these challenging times, we're going to see those symptoms coming back. And we want to, like, no, 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 we have the tools, we have the resources, we need to take care of ourselves. So this is an invitation for everyone, no matter where you're at in your healing journey, is that I want you to check in with yourself to see, what do I need to do to like re-regulate, and what can I actually do now for me that's going to support in the long term, because this is about sustainable wellness, right, for our communities. So we can't be the martyrs. We can't be doing it all. We got to do what we do well and show up in the best ways that we can, and know that that's enough. Okay. And I will stop there and hand it over to Elena.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share a few regulating practices that I do. So I'm a mom. I have a 6-year-old son. I have a 1-year-old daughter. And then in the work that I lead as a co-founder and the executive director of So Oceanawa Sister Project, we're focused on MMIP, advocacy, support services, reunification. And then in addition to that, we lead a lot of food sovereignty work in our community, elder gatherings, and then traditional wellness gatherings that can change depending on what is happening in our community. So there is a lot, right? I feel like we all hold. And for me, it's important to check in with my kids and myself. So on my son, I'll draw like little hearts on his wrist. Like, we're just slowing down. We're feeling our pulse. We're feeling our connection to heart, to one another. Even in the simplicity of hugging one another, that slow. Oh my goodness, now he's running over. But that is something that helps me slow down. And then for my daughter, it's braiding her hair. It's, I think the tradition of like engaging in care for one another. But I just want to recognize, I know we're getting closer in time, and um, I think we all have our own support system that looks different, right? And we all have the data that we drive from our own bodies in moving from our heads to our hearts, into our bodies, and then connecting with land, whatever that may look like. So I want to continue to support you all in doing that, and keeping our eyes on the future with our feet on the ground. Because right now it's easy to feel like you need to propel into all these arenas, especially here in LA with everything happening. Um, but it's important to stay grounded and connected to self and to our ways of being. So I invite you all to do that, and then I'll pass it back to Monique.
Yeah, I'm so glad that, this is resonating with folks, and it's already really supportive. And I know that Elena and I are both here for resource, right? So in both of our organizations, and although we might do it a little bit differently, the main premise is that we provide wellness support to our community. So like in Indigenous Circle Wellness, we really focus on the mental health piece of that and what does that look like. And do that through with our team of clinicians, all culturally rooted and incredible therapists. And we do workshops and trainings and activities to help really like with the regrounding and the support. And then Elena can share a bit more how they do that through So'oshanala Sister Projects. They do it in so many ways. So you definitely want to partner with So'oshanala Sister Project and with us in any ways. So whether you reach out to one or the two of us, we're always in contact. We will make sure that you get funneled to where you need what can be supported for you, either individually or in a larger setting, because the resources that we need around our mental health and wellness, it's not just a touch point, it's an ongoing practice that we need to have in our daily lives. And everything from how our mornings start, right? April earlier and getting on the call started off with some medicine and some blessings, right? Giving us that smoke medicine, and that is so important. So it's like, how are we setting up how are we structuring our days is so important. Who's in our spaces? How are we handling our boundaries? Right? What are we saying yes to? What are we saying really no to? Not right now, not ever, who knows, right? Because we all know we might have some of those challenges around like the yes all the time and then doing all the things. So maybe we need to delegate more. Maybe we need to say no more. Maybe we need to say yes to ourselves more, right? So whatever that is, we're all in a different part of our wellness and healing journey. And there's so many resources there. So what is right for me might not be right for you and vice versa, but there is always something that can be supportive for us. So yes, please reach out to us if you need any support, ongoing support. We look forward to being in community with you all, and we hope that this time was helpful.
Thank you guys so much for being here. You are so awesome. And I'm so thankful for all of you. We're going to go ahead and we have your information in the chat. So we're thankful and know that if you want to reach out, I've had the pleasure of working with these amazing individuals for so long. I know that I could just pick up the phone, even when I'm crying. I limit myself to calling different people, but I'm so thankful that they've always shown up in community for me. And thank you guys for being here. That the breathing, we know that it takes just a little bit. We breathe every day, but how do we forget to just like take time for us? Thank you for being here. With us starting to close, we have the amazing Haley Laughter, who again, I got to meet. Got to spend time with and got to laugh. And we have her here to have an exercise with us, breathing in creator's love, breathing out the bullshit, breathing in. And we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Haley and have her do what she does best. Haley?
Hello, Yade, everybody. She'e Haley Laughter Unishne, but Nishle, Toto Chini Bushachin, the Bethlejini Edashache, and Tachini Edashanale. Those are my clans. Currently, I'm Diné Navajo, and my parents are from Shanto, Arizona, and from Chajilta, New Mexico. And currently, I am on the White River Apache Reservation. I was going to do it outside, but the wind is just going crazy, so I'm in my van. I just want to thank all of you for coming and sharing space, and for all the presenters for giving excellent advice and information that I think all of us can benefit from. I want to specifically thank the Return to the Heart Foundation, Avril, and also Gina for their graciousness in allowing me to be in the space, and also to for all the work that they're doing to create a place for women to come together and to create a synergy of hope and charity, compassion, and love that's safe. So, okay, thank you. So my name is Haley Laughter once again, and I am the owner of Hajo Total Wellness. I started in 2015 creating the Indigenous Yoga movement, and that was bridging the ancient Indian yogic philosophies, the Upanishads, yamas and niyamas, and comparing it to, like Diné and indigenous practices, and found the similarities between the two to intertwine how, our ancestors are the yogis on this side of the world. And cultivated and created communities of yogis, and creating an indigenous mobile van. So I have yoga mats in my back, and I just travel and teach yoga. And it's been a great honor to create from the heart, and being able to create different projects, utilize my creativity as an expression to help others regulate their nervous system, their body, connect their mind, their body, and their soul, their spirit. So as we were talking today, a lot of this that we're doing now, especially through the internet, is virtual. We have to utilize our voice. Our voice is what carries us and spreads messages. We use it in so many ways. The voice is connected to the breath, the prana, the breath of life. And through that breath of life, it's what connects us to this reality, to this thing that we're experiencing right now called life. It's called in Navajo, Diné, Nilche, which is the sacred wind, the holy wind within us. And when we not only speak, but when we also practice ceremony, we sing songs, we chant, breath work, uplifting other people. This is the way that we utilize our sacred wind, and we verbalize our needs, our wants from within us. And the breath is very powerful because it is how the body naturally regulates the nervous system and takes us out of fight or flight. Through epigenetics, we have learned certain patterns and cultivated a scarcity mindset. And through that, the work that we're doing in healing, it allows us to release that and shift it for, the generations to come. With yoga or movement, if you're a runner or whatever exercise you do, when you can regulate your breath, you will find that you're more peaceful in whatever you're practicing, whether that be running, yoga, exercise, Zumba. But the breath is something that we often forget about because it's automatic. Just like the internal organs that we have, we often forget that we have these magnificent systems happening right now, and they're providing us, the life that we have, giving us nutrients and blood flow, and so we often forget about the internal organs also, the lungs. When you are within our bodies, we have energetic centers, which are called chakras. And they start at the base of the spine and go all the way up to the top of your head. It's not in the front, it's in the back. I always thought it was in the front, but it's not, it's in the back, it's in the spine. And these chakra systems, when they become unbalanced in certain areas, can often lead to stress, depression, misalignment, and also, your illness, sickness. And so being aware of these energy centers is, essential for, or mindful, I should say, and is just essential for awareness, self-guidance, self-help, self-care. So, for instance, at the base of the spine is what we call the sacral chakra. And that's, like the woman part area, the reproductive organs. And then you go up a little bit more, and that is the root chakra is the bottom. The next one's the sacral. And then you come up a little bit more, and that's your solar plexus. And your solar plexus is very, just right above the belly button. The sacral chakra is responsible for confidence, overcoming fear, passion, creative, projects. Then you have the heart chakra, which is right here in the heart center, and that is when you open that, it allows for compassion, for love, for forgiveness. It also allows for not only you to love, but to attract people who will do the same for you. Then what's very important that we talked about, again, voice. It's right here is your throat chakra. And that throat chakra is having the power to speak your mind, to set boundaries, to voice your concerns, or maybe voice, your opinions. And oftentimes that's something that we get stuck because of the anxiety of maybe offending someone, or the anxiety of letting someone down in our minds, or maybe not being liked, right? But the throat chakra is very important to convey your needs, what it is that you need or you want, or communication. Then you come up to the third eye right here. This is your intuition right here. The third eye is the sacred eye, the all-seeing eye. This is where your intuition lies, is when you can go to this space when you meditate, or even just, listening to your intuition, you're connecting to your third eye. And that is, following what feels right, following that path of creativity, understanding like if something doesn't feel good, it might be wrong for you. And so when you align all of these, you're using your intuition to speak your mind, with your throat chakra, with the heart center, and then, the solar plexus with the confidence, and then coming down to the root chakra, being grounded in what you're saying and what you're doing. Now, the last one is going to be right here at the top of your head. At the top of your head is the crown chakra. And that is your connection to Dien, to Creator, to the universe. And it's like an antenna. In Navajo Dene philosophy, we have what we call an invisible feather at the top of our head. And that's the invisible feather is what we use to connect to the spirit realm. And, our feet are planted here on this earth. So we're always both in the spiritual realm and in this earth, in this plane. And so with higher consciousness, awareness, meditation, practices that help you to go within, it allows for your antenna, for your consciousness to be more expansive. And this is important because, as Indigenous people, our ancestors connected automatically to the earth, to all the elements. They had to learn how to become friends with the elements, how to survive in the elements. And their connection was so deep that they were able to come up with these systems and these creation stories on how we became, or how the stars align, or know what season it is. And so with the connection to the earth and utilizing our crown chakra, our third eye, it allows us to connect to our ancestral wisdom, and to cultivate a path that is straight, or tentatively straight, that we can keep going forward with a positive mind, positive thoughts. being guided. And so I just want to say that much, that, you know, sometimes we have imbalances and we have to go within to rebalance ourselves, to ground ourselves, and to open up our heart center to speak our mind, and have the confidence to do so. And a lot of the times through colonialism and through generational trauma, those have been shut. So maybe sometimes as kids we were told, don't say that, or, always respect your elders, even though they're doing something wrong. Like these types of things are things that can shut us down as children and as adults. We carry those habits and those thoughts, maybe those words on us somewhere, projections of fear. And so learning how to release those is aligning yourself and opening up these different systems so you have a greater sense of self-awareness. You're grounded and a consciousness connection to not only, our creator, but also the trees, planet Earth, earthly plants and every other living thing, animals. So with that, I just want you to remember that your breath is sacred. It's a sacred wind within you. And you can use that wind to empower other people and to empower yourself. And part of self-care is breathing. You got to learn how to breathe, how to go deeply within yourself, consciously and subconsciously to move that breath within you. Because as we grow, we're only using this part of our lung, just like 1/3 of our lungs. But babies, if you watch their belly, it rises and falls as they're breathing because they're using their entire lung capacity. And we forget to do that. So I'm going to take you through a meditation. And I want you to just turn off your camera and close your eyes. I think it's important for you to find a safe space and a place that's quiet where you can feel comfortable. And just take a few moments just to root yourself, ground yourself. And we're gonna go ahead and sit and root ourselves. I want you to press your tailbone into the ground, draw your shoulders back, make your spine long. And imagine I'm pulling a string at the top of your head up towards the sky. So you want to get your spine long, shoulders back and relaxed. Good. Your hands can be anywhere that's comfortable for you. And before we go into this meditation, I just want you to just bring your chin to your chest and roll your neck from side to side, not all the way around, just like left ear to right shoulder, roll it around to the right ear, right shoulder. Just kind of unwinding the neck. Stop in the middle, come back up, and just shake your hands out. Shake up all that excess energy that you don't need, releasing it. Good, and release. Turn your cameras off, and I'm going to go ahead and begin this meditation with your spine long, eyes closed. You can even be lying down if you'd like. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel your belly expand to maximum capacity. Push the air all the way down to the lower belly. Feel your lungs all the way up. Hold it. Exhale. Release it very slowly. Slow, controlled, intentional breaths. Inhale. Fill your lungs all the way up. Feel your belly expand. Go a little bit deeper, suck on a little bit more air and hold it. Slowly exhale. Inhale. Fill your lungs. Breathe in as much as possible, as slow as possible, as long as possible, as much as possible. Fill your lungs and hold it. Slowly exhale. Release it. With each breath, relax. One more. Make this your best breath. Inhale, fill your lungs. All the way. When you think you can sip in a little bit more, go ahead. Breathe in more air. A little bit more. Challenge yourself. Relax the body at the very top. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Slowly exhale. Bring your focus to your third eye. You might see colors, you might see lights, you might see shapes, patterns. Focus one spot there. Let the body relax and the sacred wind move throughout you. The wind touching every cell, all the veins, the muscles, the tissues, the bones, the systems. And with each breath, feel the weight of your body grounding you, connecting you to the earth beneath you. Bring your awareness to the base of your spine, that's the root chakra. And visualize yourself as a tiny seed nestled in the warm, nurturing soul. The soul within you, and yet the soil deep down into the earth. Feel the darkness around you, holding you, cradling you, feeling safe and secure. This is your foundation and your connection to the earth. With each conscious breath, feel the energy of the earth feeding you, nourishing you. You're small, but you're full of potential. Feel the spark of life within you, waiting to grow. Now imagine the roots beginning to grow from the base of your spine, reaching deep into the earth. These roots anchor you, grounding you in stability and strength. Feeling the earth's energy flow up through your roots into your body. As you breathe, feel this energy rising, like the water being drawn up through the roots of the plant. It moves through your legs, your pelvis, and to the base of your spine. This is the chakra of safety, survival, and belonging. With each breath, feel this energy growing stronger and rising higher. Breathe. As you're rising higher from this chakra, move into your sacral chakra. It's just below your navel. This is the energy of creativity, flow, and vitality. Feel it glowing like a warm orange light. Create a ball with that light and align it with your root chakra. Take a deep breath in, fill your lungs all the way up. Hold it. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Noticing the orange light becoming more consistent, more vibrant, moving into the next chakra. This is your solar plexus, the power center, the energy of confidence with will and transformation. Feel it glowing like the bright yellow sun. It's just above your navel. Imagine a yellow light, a ball of light. Try to turn it into a perfect circle. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. As you breathe, the energy moves higher into your heart chakra. This is a center of love, compassion, and connection. Feel it open. Open your heart like a green flower radiating warmth and light. Open the heart center and allow that love to expand. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale, very slowly fill your lungs. Exhale. And as that energy continues to rise, flow into your throat chakra, right here where you speak from. This is the energy of communication, expression, and truth. Feel it glowing like a soft blue light. Try to perfect a perfect blue light, clearing any blockages and allowing your voice to be heard. That blue light is circling your breathing, expand it. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now allow that energy to move up to your third eye between your eyebrows. This is a center of intuition, insight, and vision. Feel it opening like a deep indigo light. A perfect ball of light here, connecting you to your inner wisdom, your intuition. Moving the breath through the body. As you're breathing, you're relaxing and expanding your third eye, connecting to the inner self. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now, finally, the energy is going to rise to the crown of your head, your crown chakra. This is the energy of consciousness, unity, and divine connection. Feel it glowing like a vibrant violet light, opening you, violet light, opening you to the infinite possibilities of the universe. So imagine an antenna at the top of your head and that blue light swirling, expanding, acknowledging the protection and the light around you, your divine self, all the divinity within you. Take a deep breath in, exhale, inhale, exhale. Imagine your consciousness extending beyond the body, like the tassels of cornstalk reaching for the sky. Fill your entire aura, energetic field, expanding and growing taller and taller until you are touching beyond the vast open sky. Allow all the balls that you made from the root chakra all the way up to the crown to align and flush it with white light. Take a deep breath in, exhale. Now you're no longer a seed in the earth. You are connected to everything around you. The earth, the sky, the stars. And as you're sitting in this meditative state, feel the sun warming your leaves, your corn husks, and the rain nourishing your roots. You are part of the great web of life, connected to all beings, all energies, and consciousness. Feel the expansion of the universe within you and all around you. Take a deep breath in, exhale, inhale, exhale. Feel the energy within you, around you, above and below you, expanding it. And as you breathe, on the inhale, taking in everything that doesn't serve you, and on the exhale, you're letting it go. Releasing everything that is not good for your highest self, your highest purpose. Breathe. Take one more last deep breath in. Fill your lungs all the way up and expand the belly. When you think you can't breathe in anymore, breathe in just a little bit more and hold it. Exhale. Feel yourself gently returning to your body, but still allow the energy to flow through you. From the earth, up your spine, and all out through the crown of your head. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. and bring your awareness back to the present moment. When you're ready, open your eyes. Beautiful. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Excellent. I just want to thank you for your time and for being here and sharing this practice. And I want you to know that you are more powerful than you know you are, and that you have all the tools within you to create what that vision that you have in your mind, to bring it forth, to speak it forth, and to move forward with it. Thank you for your time. And as I always, when I share space, I see it as ceremony. I'm sharing energy with you, my wisdom and my practices with you. And so I always treat it as a ceremony. And I just want to end with the words that mean, let it come back to beauty, let it come back to peace, let it come back to equilibrium. And it's Hajona Hatsli, Hajona Hatsli, Hajona Hatsli, Hajona Hatsli, Akehet, Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Haley, for that. Thank you for your medicine. Thank you for your words. Thank you for the ceremony. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please continue to support one another. Check in with our traditional helpers and healers, and stay rooted in all this solstice. All that is what solstice brings forward: renewal, light, and a deeper connection. We do have a playlist that we'll be sharing in the comments. The playlist remains open if you'd like to contribute. We'll also be sharing highlights with the broader community after today. Until then, I want to pass it on to Gina for her final words.
Thank you all for being here. And I just wanted to remind people to go to our website, www.return2heart.org, and sign up for our newsletter if you're not already on it. We are going to be sending out some new information as early as next week. And then also, this will keep you in communication and knowing about opportunities, funding opportunities that are coming up in the near future. So thank you so much. Follow us on social media. Appreciate and love you all.